Welcome back to the channel. In today's video we are going over the theme for my Letterboxd 4 series for the month of December, which is Christmas movies. Now if you're new to this series, basically all this is just every single month we take a different theme, category, genre, and we just talk about what my Letterboxd 4 is in those specific themes. So we've done like Black History Month, we've done comedies, we've done sports movies, we've done Pride Month, we've done horror. Like we've done just, again, it could just be a genre or it could be a more specific category or it can get even more specific, like Best Picture winners was January. So this video is going to be in a playlist with all those other episodes. You can go back and watch any of those if you're interested in seeing kind of like how it works in the different categories. But basically we pick that category and then we do two different videos. We do this video, which is the preview or the setup, where we're going to talk about what's at my current Letterboxd for, and then talk about some other films that we're going to watch this month. And then toward the end of the month or the beginning of the next month is when we do kind of the recap, where we talk about what's changed and what's kind of come in and out. Before we start talking about any of the films, I do want to start with like the rules and the exclusions. The rules for this is, in order to be considered a Christmas movie, that Christmas just has to be like a very important part of the plot. I don't really want to do movies where it's like Christmas is just kind of happening in the background and the film in itself isn't very like Christmas focused. It's not really mentioned. It just happens to be set at Christmas time. You know, I want these to be films where it's the idea of Christmas, the holiday in itself, is a very important part of the plot. So that is it for the rules. As far as the exclusions go, if you're new to this series, if a film has ever been put in a previous episode, if it's been used in a different category, it's ineligible moving forward. Because at the end of the year, I just want there to be 48 different films that we're talking about. I don't want it to be the same couple films that I'm talking about in every single category. So there are, I guess, two exclusions. These are both kind of, they're like, they were already kind of iffy on whether I would have considered them to be Christmas films, like without, you know, the exclusion thing. So with the exclusion, it just makes it nice and easy. We can just say, okay, we're not going to worry about them. Those exclusions are The Apartment, which was in the Best Picture episode in January, and Little Women, which was in the Coming of Age category. Without further ado, let's take a look at the current Letterboxd 4. The Holdovers, Home Alone, Klaus, and The Muppet Christmas Carol. Now, one thing that I probably should have mentioned before we jumped into this, but I guess now is as good a time as any. This Christmas films is such a very specific category. It's a very specific thing that obviously there's not a lot of films that meet the criteria of being a Christmas film. And I admittedly just happen to not be the biggest fan of Christmas movies. So this is going to be interesting. It's going to be a very interesting selection for the films that we're going to talk about here, because some of these, like Klaus, is a film that I've seen one time, but I remember loving it when I watched it in 2019. Is that when that came out? And so I'm really excited to give that another rewatch. But it's like it feels pretty firmly in my Letterboxd 4 just because I'm not the biggest fan of Christmas movies. So the we're talking about Klaus. The Holdovers is the most recent film on the list, and that's the one that feels pretty safe. It almost made it in the Coming of Age episode as well, but I ultimately kind of booted it from there because Angus Tolley, Dominic Sessa's character, is not necessarily the main character of that as much as Paul Giamatti's character is, and so I kind of just booted it there, also kind of knowing that it was probably going to come up here in the Christmas episode. Home Alone, Christmas staple, Christmas classic. It's probably my favorite Christmas movie, so that's pretty safe in here probably throughout the rest of the month. And then The Muppet Christmas Carol is probably the most kind of just weird one in this list. You see that and you think, what? Like, that's odd. But that is my Christmas Carol. That is the version that I know, watching that grow up. It's going to be really fun this month. I'm going to watch a lot of like the classic, my family's VHSs, you know, of like the classic Christmas movies. And to me, this was always in that list of like classic Christmas movie. I thoroughly love that film, and it's Michael Caine is just so great in that, and obviously the incorporation of him with all of the Muppets. It's a great fun time. It feels like Christmas to me. Next up, the three contenders. These are three films that I have seen, but maybe it's been a minute, so maybe with a rewatch we'll see if I like them a little bit more. Elf, Happiest Season, and National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. So Elf is interesting to me, and this is like the film for me that kind of is like the reason I know I'm not the biggest Christmas movie guy, is because I don't love Elf, and that feels so blasphemous, like, because it's so many people talk about it like it's the best Christmas movie ever, and they love it, and it's such a weird movie for me, because I think I've seen it like 5 times, and I watch it all the time, like at Christmas, Christmas morning if we're over at my sister's or whatever, and they'll throw it on in the background or something. I'll sit there and I'll be watching it, and then I just kind of come away being like, I don't really remember much of the movie. I don't like nothing stood out as like a favorite thing. There's bits and pieces here and there. There are some funny things that I remember from the film that I do like, but it's just honestly, Elf has never quite been my favorite film. So I'm interested to give it a rewatch. Happiest Season is one that I watched when it came out a couple years ago and haven't really thought about it much since then. So I'm just really excited to see. I remember there's a lot of pieces of that or parts of that movie that I thoroughly enjoyed, but again, it's another one that I don't really remember a whole ton. And then National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, I think, is like pretty much the same thing as Elf, considered a Christmas classic for so many people. I don't know for sure. I haven't ever asked them, but I bet if I asked my parents, they would say that Christmas Vacation is their favorite Christmas movie. I know they love it. It kind of falls in the same category as Elf. I've seen it a couple times, and it's not as funny as like to me as like so many people make it out to be. So I'm just excited to give that a rewatch and just see if I'm just for whatever reason just wasn't vibing with it the first couple times I watched it, and we'll see if anything's changed on this rewatch. And then 3 films I haven't seen: The Holiday, It's a Wonderful Life, Miracle on 34th Street. Obviously, It's a Wonderful Life is one that is just like, it's a classic film, even outside of it being like a Christmas film. I've just heard so many great things about it, so it's always one of those that's like, I guess I should say I've heard so many great things from like people that refer to it as like this classic, but I've also heard a lot of like people that don't like the film. So I'm just excited to finally watch that. And then like The Holiday and Miracle on 34th Street, those are just kind of, for me honestly, those were kind of movies I picked because I was looking at Christmas movie lists or whatever on Letterboxd, and I was just sorting by like highest rating. And they aren't necessarily like that high of ratings. They're like 3.4, 3.3, 3.4, something like that, both of them. But they're still kind of the higher up on the Christmas list because it's just, again, there's not as many classic Christmas films, I don't think, as certain other categories. And so I'm just excited to give all these a watch. And I don't really have a whole lot of expectations for it because, again, I'm just not the biggest fan of Christmas movies, so I'm just hoping that this month I kind of come in and maybe there's 4 new ones. Like maybe this is a month where the whole Letterboxd 4 gets shaken up because I just all of a sudden find a bunch of movies that I hadn't been seeing where I'm like, okay, no, here we go. This is, maybe I am really big into Christmas movies. But for now, it's a really interesting list that I'm very open to kind of moving films all around in terms of the Letterboxd 4. And just as a reminder, these are the 10 films that I'm going to make sure that I watch this month, but I'm going to watch as many as I can. So I would appreciate it if just down below you drop your suggestions, your favorite Christmas movies of all time. Also worth pointing out that I'm also going to watch Die Hard this month. I've actually never seen Die Hard, and I didn't put it in like the 3 I haven't seen because I know there is the debate on whether it is or isn't a Christmas movie. So I didn't want to officially include it in case I decide that it's not a Christmas movie, but it is one that I'm going to get around to this month, as well as just, again, as many other films as I can this month. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching this video. Again, drop those recommendations or your favorite Christmas movies down below in the comments section. And if you'd like to like this video and then subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future episodes in this series or any of the other series that I have going on my channel, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.